Spurgeon here with RevZilla to welcome you to how to size and buy motorcycle gloves. Now in this video we're going to walk you through the different types of motorcycle gloves available, as well as explain to you how to determine the correct fit for your hands and riding style. There are a wide variety of great gloves across all price points, and while the price of a pair of gloves can affect the materials it's made from and subsequently how comfortable it is, it doesn't necessarily affect how protective a pair of gloves is. Now when we talk about protection, we're talking about impact protection, abrasion resistance, as well as protection from the elements. And while we'll touch on some general themes of protection throughout this video, we're not going to dive into specifics. If you want specifics on a pair of gloves that you're considering, make sure you check out the detailed product page to find out exactly how protective those gloves are. Now, even if you're new to motorcycling, chances are you've heard us talk about two different types of materials, textile versus leather. And historically, there's been a debate over which is safer, but really what we found is that with modern day textiles, they're going to be just as safe as leather gloves in the event of a street crash. The main difference being is that after the crash, usually textiles will have to be replaced, where leather gloves can survive multiple crashes or they can be repaired. Leather is often used in the manufacturing of gloves because of the high levels of protection it provides while simultaneously giving you great feel for lever control. Now, some of the pros of leather are the fact that it's going to have a high level of abrasion resistance, it can oftentimes survive multiple crashes, and you're looking at a pair of gloves that will break in and get more comfortable over time. Now, some of the cons of leather is that it's usually going to be more expensive than its textile counterparts, it's not going to be ideal for waterproofing, and it's typically not the best in extreme temperatures. So textiles are used in the manufacturing of gloves because they offer a wide range of possibilities for protecting riders from extreme weather, as well as in the event of a crash. Now, some of the pros of textile gloves are going to be the fact that they're ideal for waterproof protection. You're also looking at a pair of gloves that is going to give you options for temperature extremes, both hot and cold, and they're not going to have a break-in period the way that leather would, so you're going to get a consistent fit right out of the box. Now, some of the cons of textile is that they're not going to break in and get more comfortable over time. You're going to be looking at a glove that's pretty much going to be a one-time use in the event of a crash, and those thermal and waterproof liners can feel a bit bulky. Leather and textile can actually be combined in a hybrid to give you the best of both worlds. So when you're looking at a leather textile option for gloves, some of the pros here are going to be that you get the abrasion resistance and tactile feedback of leather, while simultaneously offering some of the weather protection that textiles give you. So you can get mesh at the back of the hands for hot weather riding, or you can get more complex liner systems in there to help combat the cold. And you're also looking at now being able to add some really usable waterproof options. Some of the cons, however, are the fact that it's not going to be as durable as a true full leather glove in the event of a crash, and those liner systems can still be a bit bulky. So let's jump into the different types of gloves available, kicking things off with street gloves. Now, street gloves will probably be the most popular pair of gloves up here on the table simply because of the wide variety of motorcycles that they're going to work with. Really what we're looking at here is a short cuff glove designed for all-day comfort. Materials will utilize all three, leather, textile, as well as a combination of both depending on the pair of gloves you're looking at. You're going to start to see impact armor incorporated into here, as well as options for waterproof protection. Now, you'll have touchscreen fingertips available in certain models, and that's going to be great for those of you out there using a smartphone on your day-to-day ride. And because of the wide variety of different types of street gloves available, you're going to have a wide variety of price points to consider. Now, your second option for gloves are going to be designed for race and track use. Now, these will be almost exclusively full gauntlet in their design and leather in their construction because they're really aimed at maximizing protection as well as maneuverability. Now, because of the protection that we're talking about here, you're going to see a lot of armor coming into play, and you'll almost never see a waterproof option. Because of the complexity of the design of these gloves, they're going to sit at a more expensive price point. Now, your third option to consider are going to be gloves designed for touring use. Now, touring gloves are typically full gauntlet in their design to deal with all-weather riding situations. From a material standpoint, we're looking at mostly textile or textile leather hybrid. And really the idea here is to aim at both comfort as well as protection. So you're going to see protection in key elements like your palms, your pinky, as well as your knuckles. Now, when we're looking at touring gloves, you're going to also start to see things added in like touch screen capability at the index finger as well as the thumb, so that you can use this with a GPS or a smartphone when you're out there navigating on the road. Because of the variety of complexities within the design as well as the materials being used, touring gloves typically sit at a mid to high level price point. Now the fourth option for gloves that you're going to see on the table are going to be aimed squarely at dual sport and adventure riders. These are going to be short cuff in their design, and they're really going to be aimed at maximum maneuverability as well as impact protection. From a material standpoint, typically what we're going to see here is going to be leather at the palm as well as a mesh or a textile at the back of the hand. And we're now starting to see things like touchscreen fingertips incorporated so you can use them with your smartphone or GPS, as well as a few different waterproof options popping up. Now, because of the simplicity with this design, these are going to normally sit right around the mid-level price point. Now, the last option that we're going to see on the table are going to be specifically aimed at dirt riders. Now, dirt bike gloves are going to be short cuff in their design, and they're really going to focus on maximizing maneuverability and comfort over protection. And because of that, the materials will almost exclusively be textile with a max amount of stretch built in. Now, because the focus here is on maneuverability, there's not going to be any impact protection, and therefore they're not ideal for street use. What you're going to have here is a very simple glove, and because of that, the price point is going to be reflected. It's going to be a very affordable option. Just keep in mind that because of that affordability, these gloves tend to wear out every season or two, so they will have to be replaced. So now that you've narrowed down the style glove you're looking for, it's important that we identify your preferred fit. Now, when we talk about fitment for gloves, we're going to talk about American fit and European fit. And while these gloves might look identical sitting on the table, if you were to try them on, they have two distinctly different fits. So when we refer to an American fit glove, we're talking about gloves that are designed by an American manufacturer, and they have a more relaxed fit overall. And while we've seen some European manufacturers kind of shift to a more relaxed fit as well, we're still going to refer to an American fit glove if it's going to have additional room around the circumference of the palm, circumference of the finger, and slightly less length throughout the entire glove. When we talk about European fit gloves, typically, these are gloves designed by folks outside of the US, and they're really focused on a more snug and secure, aggressive fit. So what this means for you is that the gloves will be narrower around the circumference of your palm, the circumference of your fingers, but you'll have additional length at the fingertips. Now, when you're trying gloves on, what you want is a glove that fits you nice and snug throughout while still allowing for a comfortable range of motion. You don't want gloves that are going to cause fatigue after a long day in the saddle. The one thing to keep in mind here is that if you're considering gloves with a thermal or a waterproof liner, they can feel a bit bulkier than gloves with no liners. So once you've determined the style and the fit you're looking for, the only thing left is to get your correct size. And there's two different approaches for measuring motorcycle gloves. One is going to be hand width, and the other one is going to be hand circumference. So it's extremely important that you look at the size chart for the gloves that you've selected to see how they're getting that measurement. You also want to check and see whether they're measuring in centimeters or inches. Now, if the measurement that you're looking for is a hand width measurement, start by laying the tape measure flat on the table and then rest your hand over top of it. With an open hand, measure the widest part of your palm. Repeat this with both hands and use the larger of the two numbers if one hand is bigger than the other. If the size chart requires a circumference measurement, with an open palm, wrap a cloth measuring tape around your hand behind the knuckles, but don't include the thumb. Make sure to keep the tape nice and snug and measure both your left and your right hands. Again, you want to use the larger of the two measurements to determine your correct size. That being said, there can be some inconsistencies with gloves. Some might tend to run large or run small, and if we notice this trend, we'll do our best to put a note on the product page or in the product breakdown video. So make sure you're using those resources on any gloves that you're considering. Now, at this point in the video, you should have a pair of gloves that are sized correctly and that match up with your preferred style and fitment. So when they show up, wear them around the house. Go sit on the motorcycle, try out the controls, and make sure that you're happy with the range of motion. Just keep in mind, like we said earlier in the video, a pair of textile gloves should fit perfectly right out of the box, while leather gloves will tend to break in over time. Just keep in mind that the one thing you cannot do is go out and ride in the gloves until you're 100% sure that they fit you correctly. If you're happy with the gloves and you don't feel any discomfort, congratulations, you have found your next pair of motorcycle mitts. If not, Just remember that our gear geeks are avid motorcyclists who are trained to make sure that you have the right gear for your rides. If you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. They can work with you to make sure that you have the pair of gloves that works with your sizing preferences, your fitment preferences, the style that you're looking for, all while keeping your price and safety considerations in mind. You can reach them at 877-792-9455 or simply shoot an email over to cs@RevZilla.com. I want to thank you for joining us for this look at how to size and buy a pair of motorcycle gloves. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.